right. Oh yeah, if you join, please mute. But we will be open for questions during the webinar. So if you have a question during the webinar, you can chime in anytime you want. All right. We have 20 people here now. I'm going to give it one more minute, see if more people are joining. All right. Cool. Yeah, if you have burning questions, share them in the chat, then we can handle them later. And with me is Justin from Merchant. If you want to share where you're from.
Hey guys.
Awesome. Wisconsin, Eric, Tulsa, Lennon from Tulsa. Awesome. So I'm just going to kick things off. I think probably a few more people will join. We're just going to let them in as we get going. So yeah, I'm Dominic from Adaptify. With me here is Justin from Merchant, who have launched a new product recently, which Justin will talk about later. But yeah, first about me, just to introduce myself quickly, I'm Dominic. I'm from Holland. I actually started my career in aerospace engineering. I worked for Airbus, but at some point I was actually learning Mandarin, and I decided to venture out on my own, and I launched my first startup, which was a language learning app. And at some point, I was figuring out how to grow that app, and that was how I got into SEO. Started doing SEO for that app, which worked pretty well, but I discovered there's a lot of repetitive processes here, things that I, as an engineer, wanted to automate. So then later ChatGPT came out, and I saw an opportunity to automate a lot of those SEO processes, and that's basically how our current company Adaptify was born. Sorry, I'm just going to mute a few people. So yeah, that's how Adaptify basically started. And we're going to talk much more about that later. But first, I'm going to give it to Justin, who's going to introduce himself as well.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. I'm Justin, the founder of Merchant. I started the business about 6 years ago, predominantly as a white label marketing agency, and have been implementing different forms of AI and automations into our agency for the last 4 years. And as OpenAI launched ChatGPT and their API, we just really went all in on AI and automations, and have since put out a couple products that use some AI, including our Profile Pro Chrome extension, which has over 10,000 users on it. And then the new product Page, which really automates everything you need to do from a local standpoint, which we'll talk more about later. But I'm so passionate about how agencies and small businesses can use AI to automate their operations and everything they do, not just to make life easier, but actually to put out better content and make their businesses look more polished and their clients more polished. So I'm really excited to be here with Dominic. I think we both have a really good, strong passion and background in this space, and hope that we can share some useful information with you.
Awesome. Cool. So first of all, I think there's one big elephant kind of in the room, which a lot of people who are in the SEO space and thinking about AI are thinking about, and that's basically the question, what does Google think about AI content? So, our AI generated content maybe punished? Like, does it even rank? It's a big question, and that's why I want to tackle it, basically going back to original sources. So there's one blog post from Google. I'll just put a link into the chat as well, which I think is where they stated it the most clearly. And they basically said they reward high quality content, however it is produced. So the question is not so much, is AI content good or bad, but much more, how do we create high quality content? Or, if you want to tackle an easier question first, like how do we create low quality content? Creating low quality content nowadays is really easy because we have ChatGPT. Like, you just add ChatGPT to write something, and actually I'm going to mute you. And ChatGPT will write something that gives you an answer, but it's probably not the most original content. It's a bit generic. It's not very personalized. Maybe doesn't have the best research, but it is very easy to create. So like the web has increasingly been flooded with a lot of this AI content, and that's why people say like, well, AI is the problem. But really, what was the problem is, very low effort behind the content. So if you publish that kind of low quality content to your website, what will Google actually do? So first of all, like contrary to what people may think, like Google doesn't punish your website or ban it or anything. But the way Google works instead is it has a scraping budget for every website. And if your website quality is poor, basically Google decreases that scraping budget. So what that means is, new content that you add to the site might not get indexed. It might take longer to index. Google may de-index some of your older pages, and everything that's basically not indexed cannot be found on Google. So basically, poor content means it makes all of your content harder to be found on Google. And we're gonna need you. That also matches what we were seeing at Adaptify. When people come to us and they add their website and maybe they've ran some previous experiments with AI, mostly just using ChatGPT, and the content was poor. It does take longer for those sites, even if you create a new high quality pages, to start ranking because Google has limited the scraping budget. So now we basically know what happens when you create low quality AI content. So the question is like, how do we avoid that? How do we create high quality content with AI? And the answer to that, from my experience, it's very similar to how do you create high quality content as a human. That means like, when you write content, you need to do your research. Like you need to have real data, you need to have real quotes. You can't just make up anything. So you need to do research. And secondly, it needs to be personalized, right? So behind every piece of content, there is an author. If you ask a virtual assistant to write a piece of content about something, they will need to know a bit about you, about your business, to make sure that that piece of content actually fits you and is personalized for you as a business. And similarly, if you basically instruct an AI to write a piece of content, it also needs to know about you. It needs to know about your experience, your opinions, any of your successes, so that it can refer to that in the content and basically create unique content that's personalized. And that has become increasingly important, especially since Google launched their EE80 update, famous update they launched a couple of years ago. So yeah, you need to research your articles and you need to personalize them. And the third step from our experience is you need to link them. So there's two kinds of links. First of all, you've done your research, so then link to those sources that came up in your research, and you have then good high quality outbound links, and that basically shows Google they have reputable sources, and that's all gone into this content. And secondly, also add relevant inbound, so into internal links. So sites to, you have a service page about your on your website, you have an about page about on your website, and all of that is talking about relevant stuff. So it really shows Google that, this is an expert talking here. So those internal links, first of all, they help boost your internal pages, but they also tell Google, this is a real expert writing this piece of content. So basically, you need to add linking to your AI content. And the last step, as I see it, is the hardest one and the most overlooked one, is you basically need to get people talking about your content. So, if you just create something in ChatGPT and you publish that, it's highly unlikely that somebody will be comfortable enough to go and share that on Facebook or on Twitter, because, it just doesn't hit the mark in terms of quality. So yeah, your content needs to be good enough to get people to talk about it. So you got backlinks, first of all, from social media. Those are, of course, no follow backlinks, but also to get real backlinks from, journalists, people writing blogs, to your content. So yeah, this is something that not a lot of especially AI SEO tools out there do, but it's really, really important to get backlinks to your content, and to get actual like earned backlinks, not purchased backlinks, because purchased backlinks also usually from spammy websites. that kind of get de-indexed, and then you're back to square one, because once that article is de-indexed, your backlink is basically gone. So at Adaptify, we've really been focusing on doing those four things with AI: doing research, doing personalization, doing internal and external linking, and doing backlink building. And yeah, we find that helps create AI content that Google actually likes. I think that I'm going to hand it to Justin, who's also had a lot of experience with Google looking at AI content.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dominic. So I think there's a couple other items to add here. And I really like the part about doing your research first and kind of instructing the AI on what to write. So I found the most success when you come up with kind of the framework of what you want included, including mentioning your competitors in it, and then having the AI go and write it from there, because it's going to follow a different flow than it usually would. So if there's 10 HVAC companies that just go to Chat GPT and say, write me a blog article on HVAC services for my website, it's probably going to spit out something that's around 90% the same, and Google's going to immediately say, that's standard, ignore. But if you were to go in first and structure it in a way to where it's gonna throw off ChatGPT or whichever writing tool you're using, then it's gonna be much harder for Google to catch that structure that they're anticipating, because AI does generally create the same sounding things unless you train it with other data or ask it to do new things. So the more you prompt, the better it'll be. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that there was an article that came out a while ago where Google, stating that Google was attacking AI generated content, and a lot of people just read that headline and assumed that you could not use AI generated content anymore. But in reality, what they were saying is that you could not use AI to create a bunch of duplicate pages that are all targeting the same exact keywords, just writing it in slightly different ways. So having 500 pages all targeting the same keyword on your website that are all clearly written by AI. So that's what Google cracked down on, which is low quality AI generated blog posts that were done in bulk. We've seen absolutely no penalties on AI generated content, and some of the AI generated content, we actually have been using Adaptify for our own blog for a while. And we see that their blog posts rank the same, if not better, than what our team will manually write as we do tests. And the last thing that I want to mention on this point is that you want to be organic in your use of AI tools. And so if you've never written a blog post before, you've only done like 2, and the last one was 2 years ago, don't just start posting 3 a day, right? Kind of like ease your way into it so that Google doesn't say, okay, they went from 0 to 15 a week. This is clearly not organic. So, maybe start with 1 a week, then go to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 a week. And then it'll just seem a lot more organic. You're not going to raise Google's hairs with it. And then the last thing that I would mention is that not all content should be used on all platforms. So for example, if you're creating content and just repurposing it across other platforms, you might want to look at having AI kind of mold it in different ways so that it's tailored more to that platform. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So I'd say overall, Google has made it clear that they don't hate AI content. In fact, they just want to give helpful information to their users. And if someone uses AI to generate that content in a helpful way, then it's completely fine.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree with those points. So now that we know what Google thinks about AI content, I want to talk a bit about what we learned from automating SEO for over 1,000 websites now using what is now Adaptify. So when we set out to do this, basically to automate SEO, like one of the first questions that we had is, what can we actually automate? Like which parts are possible to automate with, the tech that's out there today? And but the obvious thing, obviously, was what we've been talking about, like SEO content. There were a lot of content writers out there already at that time. And they were writing decent content, but as we just been talking about, like just writing good content isn't enough. Like we needed to be, researched, personalized, interlinked. So the question very soon became, how can we do much better than just ChatGPT? So that's basically how we developed our AI content writing process into a three-step process. So as I mentioned before, we researched the keyword. So we have several sources for that research. So obviously we're going to use the SERP page to see what's already ranking. But then we also have our own list of highly reputable sources, basically sources that have a high domain rating, that are basically safe to link to, because your link juice doesn't go to some low domain site. It actually goes to Forbes or Tech Radar or a really reputable site. So we use those this curated list of sources as well. And finally, we will analyze the existing content on that website, as well as the LinkedIn profile of the person behind that website, to see what relevant information is already out there that we can pull in to personalize this article and make it fit in with the rest of the content on this website. So first step, research. After we've done the research, we then start writing section by section, and that for each section we pull in the relevant research, which also means we then have the correct external and internal links to put in that section. And we also insert images into each section. So images are quite important to kind of distinguish your content from AI generated content, even with GPT-4o, which is for Omni. It came out now and it can do text and images, but still it's quite hard to generate a nicely flowing outline with GPT, which has images at the right places. So what we do is we actually analyze which images are already on the website. So if it's like a landscaping website, you can imagine they have hundreds of images of nice projects that they've done. And we can then reuse those images at the right point in the SEO article, so that we basically have images that you will not find on any other website because they are actually for that company. And another type of image is the image that we do, that we found to work really well, is infographics. So basically an infographic is presenting the same information, but in a different way, in a visual way, and that catches people's attention. And it kind of makes them stop and stops them from scrolling, and they spend a bit more time on that page, and that shows to Google, okay, people are really curious about this, and this is actually good content. And another benefit of doing infographics is, it's much more attractive to go and share on social media a nice graphic that explains something, in a very concise manner, rather than just a blob of text or something like that. So it also really increases the social shareability of the content. So yeah, we do the research, we do the images, and finally, what we do is we do a number of automated checks on every article that we write. So we really found that if we use AI to check AI, that really reduces the number of failures where the AI gets it wrong, or it doesn't hit the right tone of voice or stuff like that. So the AI checks the AI, and if a check fails, then we send it for human review. So basically, yeah, sometimes the solution to AI failing is just adding more AI. I guess this is the conclusion from that. So that's what we do in terms of content. So we do research, we then do personalized content with images, and we do quality checks. But then, like the last point that I mentioned about in terms of how do we make Google like AI content, is we need to get people to talk about it. So the SEO content writer was the first thing that we built, but realized none of those content writers are actually doing backlink building. Backlink building is really key to get content to rank, because even good content, if your site doesn't have any backlinks, it's going to be very hard to rank. So it's kind of like the backlink building is the missing puzzle piece, as you can see on this slide. And we basically found that there are a lot of journalists and blog writers out there who are looking for good quotes on their on articles that they're writing about. So there's platforms like Haro and Turkel that we're basically leveraging. So we built an AI that matches any journalist, basically a journalist request on any of those sites, and matches it to relevant sites that we have on our platform. so that it finds relevant opportunities to basically pitch to that journalist. We then also automatically create the pitch to that journalist because we have done the site analysis, we have the LinkedIn profile and all of the personal information that we need, so we can actually go, well, what would this person contribute to this article, and then we pitch that to the journalist, and the journalist then has a personalized quote that they can feature in their article, and they usually are quite happy to feature it, and we have a success rate of around 5 to 10%, which is pretty high in this area. So we basically automated content, and we basically automated backlinks doing PR outreach. The only piece left, or well, the main piece left is, I decide I want to do automated SEO for a website. I have my website URL. How do I decide what I'm going to write about? So it's basically keyword research. I don't know if any of you ever tried doing keyword research with ChatGPT, but you will find out that it will come up with a really nice list that looks very good on first glance, like very specific keywords that are very good for that specific customer. But the problem is, like, none of those keywords are actually really being typed into Google by people. So it's like you can create that content, but it's not going to get any traffic. So we really realized that we need to combine GPT's analytical power, GPT's creativity with real keyword data. So we basically realized we still need the alt tools, still need Ahrefs. We use mostly SEMrush and Keyword Planner to pull in real keyword data and basically find, okay, this is a keyword that's not too difficult. This is like we actually have a shot at ranking for this. So yeah, basically combining GPT to know what is the website about with actual keyword data from SEMrush, we're able to come up with relevant keyword clusters and then fill them with low or medium difficulty keywords. So yeah, in summary, the three pieces that we are automating in terms of SEO is keyword strategy, SEO content, and backlink building. And the reason that this works so well is something that we call repetitive creativity. So it needs a little bit of creativity to write content. It needs a little bit of creativity to write a pitch to a journalist, but it's all creativity within a very fixed repetitive process. And that means, or that has enabled us to really automate this using a combination of AI and algorithms and logic, basically. So there are other things as well, like, for example, a company's service page or a company's about page, like that's very business specific. So it really needs like the personal input of a business owner or website owner. So we don't do those with AI, but rather we wait until they've been set up and we know what services are available. We know what's the about of this company, and then we extract that information to personalize all of the rest of the articles that we want to rank for. So that's basically, in short, how we automate website SEO at Adaptify. And another thing that we don't do is local SEO, but I think Justin has a solution for that.
All right. So thanks, Dominic. Yeah. So we specialize only in the local SEO side of marketing. We've been doing this for about 6 years. We do this in a white label way for hundreds of agencies, which is a very hard service to scale because you need a combination of keyword researchers, graphic designers, content writers, project managers, and support people. And so over the last 6 years, to be able to scale this service, we've had to implement a lot of automation and AI and combination of the two. And as we started to grow more quickly about 2 years ago, we saw an opportunity to launch our like a kind of easy widget that kind of takes all the thinking out of SEO for Google business profiles. And so that was what our Profile Pro Chrome extension was. And I think that's a really good example of what Dominic was saying, is that there was some time in the beginning of ChatGPT and OpenAI where you could put out AI content and it would rank pretty quickly very well. But then as Google got smarter and realized that the content isn't that helpful, you had to kind of up your game, which is why we then started work on our fully automated platform page, which kind of takes into account all of the other aspects that you need to do to get your content to always be helpful. And so there's a couple of things that that we've learned over the last few years from optimizing over 10,000 Google business profiles. One is that clients and business owners tend to care a little bit about the content that's going onto their Google profile, a little bit more than what we've experienced with other forms of SEO and marketing. And so you can't really just use AI generated content that doesn't take into account facts about their business. And so I think that there was a really cool thing that happened here, which is that not only did Google put out information around them not liking unhelpful content, but clients at the same time kind of came to that conclusion and said, no, we want this content to be more tailored to our business. And that's why our new platform actually learns from the business and their website to make sure that everything that's written is very hyper specific to that business. So it knows, their hours, where they're located, the kind of services they put on their website, how they pitch themselves, kind of becomes an in-house marketer for that company. The other thing that we put in there, and this has to do with agencies, and I think that a lot of you guys come from agencies, is that because clients actually care about the information that goes on the Google business profile, you have to make sure that you have the ability to adjust things based on the feedback that they give you, right? And so if you're managing their Google reviews and they want you to end all the review replies by saying like, please call and ask for Mary to make things right if it was a bad review, then it's really hard to keep track of, all of these special requests for all of your clients as you grow. And so we baked into this feature of our new product that allows you to basically train it to do certain actions based on when clients give you certain requests. And so it really kind of becomes a very good virtual assistant at managing all the nuances between your different clients. And so we've been looking at AI more in terms of like, how can we make every client feel like they're your only client? Because at the end of the day, they don't want to feel like, they're just a number in your client list and that you don't really care about them. So we've been putting a lot of effort into customizing the content, not just so that it ranks better on Google, but so that your clients feel like you're putting a lot more work into it, and that your customers, when they see it, or your potential customers, when they see it, feel like, oh, this is actually written by a person that knows the business very well. And so yeah, we make a lot of adjustments in our operations and our tools to cater to what business owners actually want, which luckily kind of coincides with what Google also wants, which is really just helpful, high quality content. And the other thing is, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, which is that all the content needs to be very specific to the platform that you're writing it for. And so I think some businesses will use AI to create content for Facebook or Instagram, and then just go and repost it onto the Google business profile. So maybe if it's a Facebook post, they're going to include the hashtags on those posts because that's what Facebook wants. But Google doesn't want that. And so if you're just reusing the content or syndicating the content on all the different platforms, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice because the content that ranks well for one platform is not the best for the other. So I would say whenever you're using AI tools for Google business profiles, if it's not our services or our products, then just make sure that you're not just asking Google for social media posts because those are going to be very geared towards what Facebook wants. Make sure that you make it very well known that these should be tailored to local posts for a Google business profile. And I would probably even go one step further and mention Google My Business instead of Google Business Profile, because a lot of the training data still references Google Business Profiles as GMB or Google My Business. And so those are kind of the main lessons that we've learned. And so with our product, which I'll go into more detail a little later, we really kind of canned our entire operations of a scaled agency into a self-serve platform so that you don't need to hire the staff to build out all these automations and customizations and the VAs to run it all. Instead, you can kind of just take our operating model and apply it into your own agency and have it run for your clients. And I see some familiar faces in the audience, so hopefully you guys can ask some questions or fact check me during the Q&A portion. But I do think that automation and AI in the marketing agency world can really make your lives a lot easier. That's not really like a hot take. I think you guys all know this. And I think that we're going to find more and more use cases for it over the next couple of months. So I'll hand this back over to you, Dom.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, we've been talking a lot, obviously, about automating SEO, and I think both of us have some products that do a lot of those things. So I'll talk about Adaptify first. So basically, the things that I talked about in terms of automating SEO, it comes together in our products, Adaptify SEO. Like you can literally enter any website on the homepage, and we will create a keyword strategy, a content plan, and a backlink outreach plan for that site. Once you start your free trial, we will then execute that strategy. But as Justin mentioned as well, what we have found is that human control is still super important. Like humans always have ideas about what needs to go in terms of keyword clusters, in terms of writing style and content. So even after Adaptify is running for a website, you're in full control of what keyword clusters to target, and you can also edit any of the content. Like you make changes to the content, or you ask it to change the writing style or not mention certain topics, etc. And the cool thing is, like, any feedback that you give to the tool is used to train our site-specific AI. So basically, over time, as you give more feedback and use the tool more for any website, it gets better at writing content and finding keywords, finding backlinks, like backlink opportunities for that website. So yeah, I think as Justin mentioned as well, a lot of people here are coming from agencies. So yeah, if you're an agency, you can just add all of your clients to Adaptify and basically deliver. Adaptify helps you deliver SEO to your clients. In terms of pricing, I'm just going to briefly mention that we have an agency plan, which is $9.99 a month, and it includes 3 websites. And you can add additional websites as well for $2.99 a month. And the price of an additional website actually goes down as you add more. And another thing that we do is we actually give a free 30-day trial with every website that you add. And that is so you can see, is this actually going to work for this website? Is it going to come up with the right strategy? Is the content spot on? Are the backlink opportunities good? If not, you can always decide to cancel it. Or you can also, let's say you have a lead in your agency and you want to pitch, you want to maybe upsell them to SEO. You can just put in their website and see what it comes up with, and then pitch that to the client and say, hey, we're going to do this and this, and see if they get excited, see if you can sell them SEO, and then you can use Adaptify to deliver SEO to them. So I'm just going to put a link to Adaptify in the chat as well, so you can explore it further and start a free trial if you'd like to. And then I'm going to hand it over to Justin, who has a solution for local SEO.
Great. And I'll just say I've been a user of Adaptify for a few months now, and I really just set it and forget it. And it's a really nice tool. I get an email every week that says what our keyword strategy is from them, mentions a keyword potential for each one that they're targeting, and it just works well. And the best part of all of it is that you can probably tell Dominic really is an expert in this space, and it's nice to be able to rely on someone else to stay on top of the trends and make sure that the right models are being used and the right structures are being used, and like the style of blog posts has evolved over time as best practices change. So a question that we get often, and it is a fair question, Dominic, you should offer me a sales job after this. But the question we get asked often is like, why don't I just use ChatGPT for this? And the reason is like, it's hard to do it well. Like, you need to really stay on top of like best practices and what Google's ranking, and collect a ton of data and improve your process to really make it as good as what Adaptify does. And so I'm a big believer of working with companies that just solve one very specific problem, because that's what they wake up and think about, from the moment they're awake until the moment they go to bed at night. And that's why my business has also only specialized in the very tight area of Google Business Profile Management, despite getting requests to do all kinds of things. So yeah, I'm a big fan of working with people that just specialize in specific things. And so with Page, as I mentioned, we just canned our entire team's operations into a self-serve platform so that you don't need to hire a bunch of experts to do kind of the project management, the keyword research, the graphic creation, or even the client management side of local SEO or Google Business Profile Management. Because Page is really designed to be that perfect virtual assistant that can do absolutely everything, do it on time, correct the first time, have it hyper specific to the business, and also message your client when something's needed, right? So right now, you'll see that in local SEO or Google Maps marketing, if you're managing it yourself, you'll see that maybe your client isn't getting the best rankings, and if you dig into it, you'll see that they haven't gotten a new review in 6 weeks, and obviously Google cares a lot about that. And so, as an example, we made it so that Page can see when a client isn't getting enough reviews, and it can email them, letting them know, hey, it's been 87 days since your last review. You really need to get one every single week. Please try to get one in the next 24 hours. Here's your review tool and some ideas to get reviews, which are tailored to their type of business. And so Page really becomes your hyper proactive VA, and it can be fully rebranded as yours. And so, so I think some of the people on this call have already rebranded Page, so you can call Page whatever you want. So instead of training Page on the special nuances, you can call it RankBot or whatever you want. It can be fully white label living on your subdomain, and the emails can even appear to be sent from you. And so we really built Page to build our own scaling struggles, because hiring people that are great regularly is a very challenging thing to do. And so we solved that problem for you, and included everything that you would need to offer a Google Business Profile Management service, including reporting, reputation management tools, an image upload tool that can drip images onto the profile as we're optimizing them for SEO. And so, similar to how Dom wakes up every morning and thinks about website SEO, my dreams are about local SEO. And I'm really proud to think that we're the leading company when it comes to optimizing Google profiles. So that's the spiel on Page. We have a 3-day trial. It's just $1. You can optimize a profile, see what kind of content it creates, see if it looks good enough for you. And then we only charge $99 per month for a Google Business Profile that you're optimizing with it. And it really does mimic a service that we would typically charge a small business owner about $450 a month for. So really great value. And yeah, if you like, feel free to play around. There's a $1 3-day trial, and it's still in beta. So you might experience a bug from time to time, but we put out releases every 24 hours. So we'll quickly get it fixed if we do see one. Yeah, and then I think we can hop over to the Q&A section.
Sorry. Yeah. I also just wanted to quickly mention that if you're an agency out there, combining adaptify.ai and Merchant and Page is obviously a great combo if you want to do website SEO and also offer local SEO as well. So we have a couple of people who are doing that, and I think it works really well. So yeah, over to the Q&A. You can either put your questions into the chat or just unmute and speak up. I'll have a look if there's something in the chat already. So Spencer is asking, will Adaptify allow us to craft a blog post and hold it for client review before publishing? Yes, that's possible. There are several ways of doing that, depending on your process. So either you can just hold it and then export it to a Google Doc or whatever you're comfortable with, and share that with your client for review. You can also share a link directly with your client so that they can review it if you're comfortable with them looking at Adaptify as well. Or lastly, you can publish it as a draft. So if your client is on WordPress, for example, you publish it as a draft in WordPress, and you have them look at the draft, and you can then take their feedback. You can put their feedback back into Adaptify and then update that draft and then publish it. So there's a couple of ways that we support that process of client review. Let me know, Spencer, if that answers your question. All right. Yeah, thank you.
I got a direct message question asking me if Page geotags photos. And yeah, we do a couple things when you upload a photo. And an upgrade's actually coming out tomorrow morning on this. Basically, you'll be able to upload any image, whether it's taken from an iPhone, Android, SLR, whatever, and it'll convert it into the right format for Google Business Profiles. Because, for example, they don't take live photos, and so we'll do all that conversion in the background. We'll also geotag it for somewhere in the audit area. So when you sign up, you say, where do you want to track the rank improvements for with the heat map, which we always compare the before and afters on. And Page will find a geo coordinate in that area and geotag that image. And then also it scans the image when you upload it. And then it writes a meta description or alt tag for that image that is in context of your target keywords. So let's say this for professional house painting company, and the contractor just takes a picture of the house. Page knows they're trying to rank for best house painters in Cincinnati. So when it writes the meta description for this image, it'll write a description, not just saying this is a house. It's going to say, professional house painting company in Cincinnati, freshly painted house, and string together a bunch of sentences that are SEO optimized using their keywords. And then it'll also give it an SEO optimized image file name that uses the target keywords. So Page will fully optimize any image.
Awesome. Then I'm not sure who this question is for, but AR is asking, do you have an AI for AdWords management? And I know that we don't, although we have been thinking about it at some point, but that's a bit out of our area of expertise.
Yeah, you know what? I saw an announcement yesterday. I've been meaning to watch the video. I think Google might have just put out some AI features for AdWords, or rather Google Ads, during their conference. So I think you might see some more features for this coming out soon. I was preparing for this and didn't get a chance to dive into that email from Google.
Yeah, I think Google is rolling out like Gemini across their whole product suite, so that might already go some way towards AI for AdWords management. Then Gary asked, yeah, you mentioned 30-day free trial, but the site is 7-day trial. So yeah, the default trial for Adaptify, the product, is 7 days, but we will extend your trial. Like 7 days is just because from our experience, it takes around 7 days to get your site completely set up, make sure that your backlink profile is good, your integrations are working, etc. But we are very happy to extend your trial if you need more time to set up. And then the 30-day free trial that I mentioned is if you add more sites within Adaptify, then for each of those sites, you're going to have a 30-day free trial that basically allows you to decide if you want to go ahead with that with SEO for that website. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have further questions on that, Gary. Then John, will there be ways for us to train the content AI for whatever, like don't talk about this or don't talk about that? Yes, exactly. So we have something called custom instructions in the app, John, and the custom instruction basically allows you to basically add an instruction that's then applied to anything that the AI does. So if you say, I don't know what your company is about, but if it's about always mention this product, or never mention this because that's not in our service offering, then you can add this as a custom instruction, and it will always be considered in whatever the AI writes. So let me know if that helps. I got sort of like train. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like train Adaptify, John. I think then I got a direct message from Cassia. How does it work in terms of style of the blog? Yeah, I have WordPress and Divi Builder, for example. Can it connect to Divi so it looks like my other pages? Yes. So for WordPress, we basically push the formatted HTML of the blog post to the WordPress API. So whatever template builder you are using in WordPress will usually work. Like we just match the style of whatever is already in whatever you've already set up for blog posts. I think we have a couple of customers who are using Divi Builder as well, so that should work fine in terms of layout and style. John, I tried adding another website just to check it out, but it didn't allow me to use it more than once. Yeah. So yeah, so we basically in our on our homepage we can add one website to test it, and then basically you need to leave your email address to to start a trial. So you cannot test unlimited websites. If you really want to do another one, you can maybe pull up a private tab and add another one. But like the free demo, like pre-sign up demo, is really to see what Adaptify can do. And after that, you want to see more, just start a free trial. It's free as well, so then you can add as many sites as you want. Joe asks, I'm already an Adaptify user and I love it. In Merchant, what are the agency level plans? This is for you, Justin.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. So we have a couple different agency tiers for our managed service. But for if you go to the partners or the agencies page on our website, you can find like the full breakdown of what's included in those. Because our partner program includes some tools to help you like audit your leads, rankings, um, and like sales and marketing materials and a bunch of other things that will just help you grow your agency and offer this kind of service. But for Page, we're still in beta, and so the beta pricing is $99 a month per Google Business profile, regardless of size. Once we're out of the beta program, that'll likely remain the agency pricing, and the small business pricing or smaller volume ones will go up from there. So yeah, so anyone that's on the beta program will be grandfathered into that beta program bulk pricing forever, or at least until it's no longer possible to maintain. And feel free to, I'll put my email in the chat. Feel free to message me directly, and I'm happy to share more info or point you to the right page on our site. Glenn, I think I saw you come in a bit late. I would suggest watching the first part of this this webinar, because we kind of go into detail about whether AI content can hurt rankings. Short answer is, if you do it with care and provided a good amount of information and research, then no, it'll do just fine. But long answer, I would say go back and watch the recording once we send it out, and Dominic does a really good job kind of breaking it out.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best. I also got a direct message. I'm not sure if you got it as well, Justin, but it seems to you. How does Page compare to the standard merchant offering?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on what the standard merchant offering is, because we have a couple different products and services. Do you mind throwing in which one you're using so I can elaborate more? But basically, Page is a culmination of the last 5 years of our work managing a bunch of profiles and building different tools for agencies and small businesses, all in the Google Business Profile management world. So like I think we're the first people to market with a Google review reply bot. We have our own heat map tracking tool and our Profile Pro one and our agency program, and Page really just kind of merges them all together and automates it all, so that you don't need to use these different tools to do everything and then send stuff to your client. Instead, Page will just kind of automate it all for you, and do the work. Once you just set it up, which only takes about 15 minutes per client. And then as far as how it varies from our, what I'm guessing you're talking about as our standard solution, which is our managed service, is that I think it's actually better. I think we're in this weird world where our cheaper solution is our better one. So if you like using software and you want a cheaper price, then Page is definitely the right solution for you. Whereas if you just really want to sell a service and not have to worry about anything at all, and never have to even look at software and know someone else is doing all the work, then the managed service is right for you. Elliot, thanks for clarifying. Yeah, the managed service. So really, I think you'll look at it in two buckets. One, if your margin can support it and you don't want to have to do anything at all or can be worried about anything happening, then go with the managed service. If you like software and you're okay with logging in once a week, then not even then check out Page. I think a lot of our partners have been putting like their new clients on Page and kind of testing the two side by side. And then they'll just use whichever one they like more. They put their more serious clients on our managed service because they want to make sure that the human's overlooking everything. And they don't want to be that human. And they're putting their lower paying clients on page. But it's still very early.
Cool.
I see a question or comment from.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to pull out Elliot sent a direct message, but I think it might be relevant. So he's basically asking, is Framer supported for automatic posting? So yeah, for automatic posting, basically our publishing integration, we support WordPress, Webflow, HubSpot, Shopify, of those out of the box via the API, but we also have for any platform that's not out of the box supported by the API, we offer a virtual assistant who you can basically invite to your dashboard for whatever platform it is. So as well for Framer, and they will go and check which articles needs to be published. They will just publish them, until we find like, this platform has actually reached the scale where we want to completely automate that with API as well. So in short, like any platform that you want to publish to, we can make that happen for you. And yeah, the VA assistant is included in any of our plans, so it doesn't cost you anything extra. And yeah, I think then John asks, how accurate is Page's heat maps?
We think it's very, very accurate. I mean, it sends through like actual search traffic to see where a business shows up. So yeah, it should mimic exactly what someone standing in that part of Earth is going to see when they search for Google. I think the last month or two, maybe even 3, have raised some questions around accuracy in general with reporting tools, since Google is making so many changes and seemingly A/B testing a lot of profiles. And so one day you might look and they were ranking very well, the next it might be down, the next might be up. And that's just a matter of, when the audit was taken, because Google does do a lot of A/B testing, especially during like new algorithm updates and then during the cleanup period after that. And then there's also another variable which comes into play, which is the time and day that the heat map was taken. And so if you take it while the business is open, it's going to look better than when you take it when it's closed. And so oftentimes that will create unreliable results, we'll say, just because it's not showing what you'd expect, or it looks very different from the last time. And so we recently built in a feature so that it always takes the report at a time that the business is very likely to be open, so that we can get around that problem. And then the other thing that I want to mention is, if you've been using any kind of audit tool for a while now, you might have seen that some keywords went from ranking pretty well to just red across the board, not ranking at all. And the reason for that is actually Google is showing fewer terms for local search results now. So if they think that something is actually like a product-based search intent, like someone wants to buy a product instead of buy from like a local business, then they're no longer showing local businesses in that example. So for example, this morning I was doing an audit for a business that was ranking perfectly for sauna. They're a fitness center and they had a sauna and they wanted people looking for a sauna to know about them. They were ranking very well 2 months ago, and now they're not ranking at all. And the answer is actually that Google just isn't showing local search results anymore for the keyword sauna, because they're instead showing like people selling, or sorry, e-commerce brands that are selling saunas, and also like informational websites about saunas. So they're playing around with the search intent behind certain keywords, which throws off ranking audit tools. Long answer to a short question, but lots of variables.
All right. Oh yeah, John, they're showing what kind of terms did you say? I think I might just have missed that. So I'm not sure what the right nomenclature is, but I think you were saying like specific product terms, right? Yeah, okay. I think John's got it. Cool.
Got a question about the recommended business hours on a Google profile and whether 24/7 is recommended. And I would say no, unless it's like an emergency kind of business, then they'll take a call and help someone. so like a locksmith or a plumber, those types of businesses, like Google would probably be okay with you saying 24/7 because it's possible. But if you're, any other kind of business where it doesn't make sense, then I would like a retailer, I wouldn't put in 24/7 because Google's going to know that's not right, and they'll probably penalize you. I know years ago, like there was clearly a penalty for any business that tried doing 24/7. I think since then, many people stopped even trying that. So I haven't seen a penalty on that in a while, but best practice is, don't lie to Google because they're very smart.
Yeah, I think that goes for pretty much anything related to Google and SEO. Scott, you raised your hand. If you want, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Scott.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if I want to post like specific pieces of content to different page structures on my site. So if I've got a client that has multiple locations and I don't want like product or service description type of articles that are posting up on their same page that their local map is on, etc. Maybe I want it on just an article page or a blog page or whatever, or maybe I want to reconfigure where the content is going to. How easy is that to do through the app or the hooks, the web hooks or whatever that you're going to be using? Like, do I just call in and say, okay, now I want this folder of articles / keywords to go over here, etc.?
Yeah, so in terms of how do we do it, we publish all of our content to usually the blog section of whatever platform you're using. So if it's like WordPress or Webflow, it will be in the blog section, but we do detect which categories, which tags you have already set up on your blog. We basically apply them, like we assign the most relevant tag or category to each post, and you can also control that. So if you say, any article about, this type of product should go under this tag, you can instruct the AI with that, and it will listen to that. So yeah, let me know if that makes sense. And yeah, we don't publish to service pages or something like that. We just create a blog post and ask you to set up relevant categories for that blog.
Okay. And then the tags and those blog pages that you guys are publishing, would those auto link, would those auto like internal link, or have automation for the internal linking? Like how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. They're auto linked. So yes, as I said before, we analyze all of the pages that are on your website, and we periodically analyze new websites as well. So it's basically aware what are the most relevant pages to link to, and it will link to those pages in every article. And also for each of the content keyword clusters that you have for a website, you can set a pillar page, which is basically, like the relevant service page. If it's a plumber offering heater repairs, for example, you might have a service page about heater repairs, and we're going to do keywords around that particular topic. And we then make sure that at the bottom of that article, there will be a call to action that links to that correct service page. So yeah, we take care of all of the internal linking for you.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I see a question about whether merchant connects to the GMB business profile manager. And yes, our page product is integrated directly in with the Google APIs. And so you don't need to copy and paste anything. Basically, page is, not really, but virtually going into the Google business profile manager and making all those changes in Google directly. And you can connect as many Google accounts as you have. So if you manage, your 500 clients in 10 different Google accounts, you can connect them all to page in one account, so you don't need to jump from place to place.
Awesome. Yeah, John asked, can we dictate what categories to put content under? Yeah, exactly. So you have basically, and again, I feel that's the custom instruction for AI, where you can say, all blog posts should go under, this label. You can also refine it more, saying like, if the blog post is about X, put it there. If it's about Y, put it there. So yes, you can basically control which categories it assigns. Thank you, Eric. And then Elliot asks, can Adaptify work well for a new site with no blog posts yet? Definitely. So for a new website, we're just gonna create a keyword strategy, and we're gonna build some backlinks. So we're definitely able to rank those. It's just that if you have ranking content, it will be a bit easier, a bit quicker to rank that site. But if you start from zero as well, we can totally make it happen. It just takes a bit more time to build backlinks and build that site authority needed to make it rank. So let me know if that makes sense. Thank you, Joe. And then I got another direct message from Cassia. Do you do any external linking? Yeah, so I think we covered that before as well, but definitely we research reputable sources for all the content that we create, and then make sure that content is linked. So there are external links in the article as well, and they are usually to high domain reputation, high domain rating pages. So it makes sure that you don't lose any link juice because those websites that you link to already have a very high reputation. Awesome. So I think that's it. Had a lot of questions, very engaged audience. So thanks everybody very much. And yeah, thanks Justin for being here today and doing this webinar together with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. All right. Oh yeah, and we'll send a recording in the next couple of days as well. So, yeah. All right. Thanks everybody. See ya.